You're recorded.
All right, we'll call the July 9th Highway Committee order at 8:34. Roll call. We have everyone present plus numerous other people. Make a note of all that. Public comment. Dustin, did you have public comment?
Yes, I had one. And my apologies, this was on March
Well, we
6th.
got to approval of minutes first. Sorry about that, right? Approval of minutes for the June 11th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Any additions, corrections? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Public comment, sorry about that.
Yeah, so, my apologies, like I said, this was submitted on March 6th, 2025. And I forgot to mention it at the public meeting. So bring it to your attention today. So what can be done to improve fire prevention in roadside areas along county roads? Does it make sense to move more mowing midsummer if entire road right of way is mowed in the fall to help grass stay in the green growing stage during the summer and fall? I asked my other farm in Sheboygan County yesterday about no spray of herbicides along my farm and got an immediate positive response to not spray in my area per my request. Signed, Walt Rubin.
Good. 5. Presentation of the 2026 wage proposal. Not sure who gets to do that, but I can guess. It's not me.
So
Are you sure?
you just got to talk loud enough for the speaker to hear you. Okay. So I guess for everybody in the committee, we are going around to all the standing committees to kind of go over this wage proposal. You're going to see this at the full board as an ordinance change. And then in September, you'll actually be voting on the final ordinance change and essentially the wage proposal. So that's kind of the normal process of things, but with the change to the ordinance and how we're doing that, there's a lot to kind of talk about and go through. So we were just going to take advantage of all of the standing committees to give you kind of a smaller group to have a discussion about what that's like so that you're aware of those changes when they do come to the full board. Jenna's gonna.
Yeah, would it be easier if I scoot up that way?
You want a chair?
I can see what's going on.
No. You just take it away from the camera.
Oh, okay.
I think I've seen plugged in
Just in case.
right back here. I see you're in power state mode.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any. All right. Well, thank you for your time this morning. As Dan mentioned, we are proposing seemingly significant changes to how we approach both performance management here at the county, as well as what we are looking at for 2026 wages. And so wanting to field any questions, concerns, and make sure that everybody has as consistent information as possible. So I'll start by kind of going through our goals when we started to look at revamping our performance management process, specifically at the county. Historically, our management staff have been required to complete an annual evaluation form one time a year, right? So one of the concerns that we had was waiting to talk about performance once a year with employees, right? Because we know that regular and ongoing feedback is more effective. And we've had some areas where that wasn't occurring. And with this new process, we feel that it will provide more regular and ongoing feedback and more fostering that relationship between managers and their employees. We also knew that we needed a simple system that balances both accountability and, again, that relationship, that ongoing communication between employees and their manager. But because we have 20 plus different departments that do very different things, we knew that it needed to be simple enough so that it would fit all county departments, and also give managers the ability to kind of customize the approach as needed for their specific department. We are also looking to address some of these statements from our employee satisfaction survey that we had started last year. So we just completed our second round of that. And we have consistently identified room for improvement as they relate to the statements of, I have regular check-ins with my manager holds employees accountable, and that their annual performance evaluations actually help them. So all of those collectively are what we're trying to improve upon with this new process.
That's it.
All right, there we go. So what does that process look like? Instead of having a one-time per year annual evaluation, we instead are just saying we want managers to be talking with their employees on a regular basis, and we want that to happen at least quarterly. There are some managers that meet weekly with their staff. That is best practice. But for some areas, even quarterly is a big enough change to what they're used to. And so that is how we landed on that 4 times per year check-in process. Now, this isn't a full evaluation process at 4 times a year, right? This is just us wanting the manager to sit down with the employee and have a conversation about what they're doing well or what they can improve upon. So that just includes a manager preparing for that conversation around January 1, April 1, July 1, and October 1 each year. They have about 45 days to complete or meet with their employees. And then once they meet with the employee, they really just fill out a really simple form that documents what that conversation included, both what the manager told the employee and what the employee had to share with the manager. And it also includes a performance rating, an overall performance rating. And we'll talk more about what that looks like on the next slide. Once the form is completed, the manager, the employee, the manager's manager. So if Brent completes a form for an employee, Dustin can see it. And then HR can also see it and report on the forms that are either completed or not. And we can also kind of look to see areas that might need more support or training and tailor our approach to where the needs are. The performance ratings there are 3 of them. So right now we have a 5-point scale, which has, well, it depends who you ask, right? With performance management, you could have 5 people in the room and they have about 100 different approaches or opinions on how you could do it. There's no like perfect one way, right? But we feel that moving from a 5-point rating system to just having 3 rating categories would bring some simplicity to that. And so that looks like an employee that could exceed expectations. This would be somebody that's consistently surpassing expectations, bringing exceptional contributions, demonstrating initiative, innovation, and then just having an impact that goes beyond the typical expectations of the role. And there are no areas that require improvement. This isn't to say that everybody can't always grow and learn something new and develop, but this is to say they don't need to improve in any areas in order to meet the expectations of their job. The next category, so before I move on, exceeding expectations is not a rating that we would expect a lot of employees to get. That's not to say we don't have great employees, but this is, you think about who you've worked with either currently or in the past, that one or few people that really go above and beyond on a consistent basis. Meeting expectations would be that really strong and steady employee that is dependable, competent, and contributing effectively. They may have some areas for growth, but there's no current performance concerns that require immediate improvement in order to meet their expectations. And the last category would be an employee that is showing significant gaps in one or more critical areas of their role. These are recurrent, and they are impacting effectiveness of the department or the team. And this is a rating that somebody would get if improvement is absolutely required in order to continue or avoid further disciplinary action or things like that. Are there any questions about the rating categories?
What were the other two that were there before?
Before it was it's similar, but there was an in-between category between
It's an exceptional performer.
exceptional,
and
highly effective.
highly effective.
Yeah. And then, so it was it was an in-between rating between exceptional and meeting, and then again between meeting and needing improvement. Which brought some.
So I guess
confusion.
by looking at this, I guess depends on what the point of if it's to determine pay scale or something like that, but I feel like 90% of the people are gonna end up in the middle, 5 are gonna be on the top, and 5 are gonna be on the bottom, somewhere there. So I'm just trying to figure out what the. I understand.
Yeah, hold that thought. We'll get to that. And that is what we would, if we had to guess, that's what we would anticipate as well.
Having been a part of the 5-step pretty much my whole career, this simplifies it because the middle was where all the conversation came. Well, what do you mean by that? What do I have to do, or where do I have to,
So we would expect that those conversations are still happening, right? But there's a little more weight to it now. If I get a meets expectations rating and I want to know what I can do to get to that next level,
Right.
Those are the conversations we want managers having with their employees on a quarterly basis, right? Not once a year.
Right.
Yep. And then for employees to just know where they stand more. They don't have to wait till December to really understand what their manager thinks about them.
The other quick comment about the quarterly thing is having gone through performance evaluations, basically they were called. A lot of times it depended on the mood that my lead was in. If they were going through a rough time, it was so this quarterly concept to me makes sense, because I think, if you throw the one bad one out of the 4 or something like that, take that approach, well, what happened here? Because the other 3 are really good, but so I like that idea personally, but whatever.
Yeah, there's also kind of in addition to mood, but what's called a recency bias.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to evaluate the entire year, realistically, you're only really getting the last few months. So wanting to have just more regular communication.
So if you're gonna meet 4 times a year, is there one that's gonna be more final than the other ones, or?
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Yeah. So recall that the timeframes are around January, around April, around July, and October. The October rating is we're proposing for that to indicate what they would receive for pay for the following year.
And the other question is, department heads, are they just got the county manager takes care of that for the department heads here?
Yes, yeah. There are.
And that's not
four.
out for the public, and that's just between those two, or is that gonna be available too? If somebody's just not doing a good job.
I mean, it could be, but a public records request could be submitted,
okay.
like if you wanted to know what my performance evaluation was, you could submit a request. And then we would work with corporation counsel to identify what needs to be released and what doesn't. as it
But I
relates
think
to that.
going back to, I think what
Well,
you
hey,
earlier, Jenna, when you said, this will be available to HR and this will be
Oh.
available, like,
Oh.
the department heads we will follow, the county manager will follow the same process as the department
Mhm.
heads and other managers in the documentation, and that will all be in our system.
Yeah, the records would be in employee personnel files, and yeah, I mean, if there was a request from the public, we would run that through the balancing test to identify what can be released. So with wages specifically, so that was just to kind of give you a rundown. We've provided employees with a lot more detail, but a rundown of like what the performance process will be looking like. And this is rolling out regardless of what wages look like. So this is the piece that you will see come up at the board level with the ordinance change and with what's being proposed in the 2026 budget. Perhaps the biggest change, the most impactful change, and if you've been hearing from employees, the one that is like bringing kind of the most discomfort or fear, is that we are proposing to remove the step system. And what that means is we have 25 pay grades. So each position is assigned to a pay grade. And then on each pay grade, there are 11 steps. So we'll talk more about why we're proposing to remove that, but the challenge has been having the flexibility to say, okay, we can afford this percentage of like a performance or a merit increase. Right now, it's locked in every year at 2.75% because of that step system. So that would just look like we would still have pay grades. It would just be a minimum and a maximum rate, and people will just fall in between there, as opposed to those fixed incremental steps. We are also proposing that the 2026 pay increase would be tied to that October performance rating. And this would include a percentage increase to base pay. So that looks like this. Depending on the rating that an employee receives in the October check-in, if they need improvement, we are proposing that they would not receive a pay increase. Again, this is somebody, not somebody that could grow or learn. It's somebody that needs to in order to meet the expectations of their role. This is somebody that's either on a performance improvement plan, it has been going through the disciplinary process, things like that. We don't anticipate that an employee would receive this rating several years in a row because there should have been some intervention there. Meeting expectations, those employees would receive a 2.75% increase to their base pay. So there is an element of like what we're used to calling a cost of living adjustment or a market adjustment included in that, looking at about a 2%. So when we look at like a merit increase or what people are used to now as a step increase, it's really a 0.75%. In addition to the 2% market adjustment. We can unpack that more. And then for exceeding expectations, we're proposing that those folks would receive a 0.5% more of an increase. Again, that's that group that we don't anticipate a large portion of the count. Is that to say we don't have great employees again, but those exceptional contributors. This isn't something that we have now. We don't really have a means now to like motivate somebody to like bring their best and step their game up at work. Because right now or historically, employees that meet expectations receive the same step increase that employees that are going above and beyond. Our fear in like continuing that is not providing enough recognition for the good, like the star performers. And what we want to do whenever possible is retain those folks that really shine and motivate the people that maybe haven't been doing more than they need to. And so that's our approach with this change. We've had a lot of questions about what it would look like for somebody that's already at the max rate or the top of their pay grade. Right now, that's the people that are on step 11. And we would be looking at employees that meet expectations at that level. They would go up with the market adjustment to the grid, about a 2%. If they exceed, we would propose that they would have the ability to earn like a lump sum bonus over and above that max rate. Right, because they can't exceed the max rate on the pay grade, but we're looking at providing a lump sum over and above that.
We have
To
about
recognize
70-ish people
exceptional.
at the top. Of our
Yeah.
550 people, we have about 70 people that are at the top of the grid.
Yeah, so
Really?
right now, sorry.
I thought it would have been higher than that.
I was gonna say that too.
all
We have a fair amount here.
Well, highway.
I'd say we're probably pretty close to half.
No,
You
you
know,
got a lot
so-
of them at 10
Mhm.
and 9,
Really?
but not 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 9-10.
Oh, I thought we were pretty close.
So right now or historically, people at step 11 have only received the equivalent of the cost of living adjustment. Because they can't go anywhere else. And so, and this is actually feedback from both employees that we've gone around to several departments to describe this as well and field questions, but also members from the Committee on Administration. They really wanted to see an ability for people at that step 11 at that max rate to still earn something for being an exceptional performer. So
And I think
that
that is I think a big thing. And so one of the changes that didn't exist before, and it's truly recognizing those people at the top. And, you know, the terms that you hear out there in the market are your quiet quitting or your retiring in place. And that's really, once you hit that max point, there is zero motivation to do better. As employees in our current system would be receiving a 4.75% increase, which is a 2% plus the step. And a person who exceeded expectations at step 11 was getting 2%, while the people around them are getting 4.75. So really making sure that those people at the top are being rewarded for and motivated to continue to work hard.
Well, for the most part, in the private sector, you don't have that. I'm sure some big companies do, but yeah, the sky's the limit enough. And my employees, whatever, however they're doing, I base it off how their performances. So I definitely agree with that because your guys that are doing good, you definitely want to keep them, even if it costs a little bit more, because even just trying to find an average worker is hard and to get them here. So if you can keep the guys that are overperforming or are at the top and doing a great job, much, in my opinion, it's easier to retain them, pay them a little bit more than to try and train somebody new in and hope they can perform eventually. Even if they're hardworking, they might not perform the way but he is at the top, and if they don't meet expectations, I'm assuming there's a way to get rid of them if they don't meet expectations for 4 quarters in a row or whatever. It's like, okay, well, time to go, and I don't think anybody's gonna be sad that they're gone.
part of the value in
Except
that.
them.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it may be, and maybe it's time to get a better fit.
Yeah. Part of the value of those quarterly check-ins too is that there will be a documentation of those
Yeah.
performance deficiencies, whereas right now, like,
Once a year.
sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. Then I get to say, hey, where's your documentation? If somebody, is bringing forward concerns about somebody, and that's really necessary in order to take those next steps.
Speak up.
Termination.
As time goes on, they want. Help me.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
complacency too. And
Yeah.
I see where there's complacency at a place where it's like, well, I'm gonna get this whether I do great or not.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're intending to do that, but this will definitely spark some enthusiasm, I would think. At least have something to work for.
The other thing that's just noteworthy was this has been evolving as we first kind of conceptualized it. We rolled it out to department heads, got their feedback. Then we went back and did some tweaking, took it to community administration, did some tweaking. Now have been taking out to staff, starting with our first standing committee. But one of the changes was this was originally 2.5% for meets expectations and 2.75 3.3 for exceeds. Then we got our 3.0 for exceeds. Then we received our WRS contribution. So the employer pays a portion and the employee pays a portion. That's going up 0.25%. So we're absorbing that for the employee side. So we're not giving them a raise and then taking another 25% back. So we bumped that.
In the asterisk down the bottom, doesn't actually reflect those,
It does.
those changes. It happened in the middle of creating the slide.
So when you have your October one and a person meets expectations, there's gonna be something there that say, hey, if you go up on like one more step or something different, we can move you up to the, exceeds expectations. There'll be some kind of, not a number, but at least let them know, hey, you're awfully close to going up to the next step. Is there something there that would help them out a little bit?
Not for the October rating, but I would say that July rating is really the opportunity to say, hey, like if this was your final rating for next year, this is what I would need to see in order for you to move up to that next level by October. The reason for that is because we need to be able to input the wage changes into the payroll system so that we can have that flowing through correctly as soon as January. Yeah.
But like Dan and I did our first check-in yesterday with the department head, and part of that strategy was to say, we think you solidly meet expectations. Here's the things that we would want to be seeing in order to consider moving to exceeds expectations. And kind of went through a list of things that you could see that we would like to see.
That is my concerns on. I have such a broad group. Some can run every piece of equipment and they all do their job every day. So that whatever I give them to do, they go do. I think as a group, we're going to have to sit down and say, what things are we going to want to see for us to give that exceeds expectations? Because every day they're doing what we're asking them to do. They're, for the most part, they're all going to meet. If there's serious problems, like, it's going to be pretty serious that they're not meeting expectations.
Oh, I think most people will meet expectations, I hope anyway.
But they're going to want to know, how they can exceed that.
That will be.
And we need to come up with something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to develop a plan for that.
Because
That's every.
Well, then you'll
Brent's
see.
too nice, he's gonna wanna give it to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's gonna, right now, it's because I feel that they're doing their job. I want to know what it,
You wanna know what.
because they're still doing their job when we ask them to do it.
You wanna know what you can tell them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you're doing everything we ask you to do.
Yeah.
What can I say to have you do more?
Yeah, that's my thing.
What else can you do?
Yes.
Can
Right.
we,
I mean, I'm
You're
sorry.
driving truck, you're hauling
Yeah.
blacktop. I mean,
So you want to go to that?
Yeah.
He's passing it out.
So
and I do have that.
this is like a performance checking guide. This has been
Oh,
trained to managers. And we've also provided this to employees. If you want to flip over to the colorful side, because we've had a lot of questions about that. How can I possibly just keep doing more and more and more? Pretty soon I'm not even doing the job I was hired to do, or how do I have enough time in the day, right? And it's not so much about that like quantitative, like doing more always. It's about how people are showing up to work. And what this core values rubric outlines, well, first of all, as a board and as an employee workforce, these are the 5 core values that we have said that we are and will live out at work. Dedication, ethics, betterment, professionalism, and collaboration. So what we were able to do is break down like what it looks like for any employee. Like this could apply to a highway operator. This could apply to a social worker. This is really more about how people are showing up to work. And if you kind of look at that green category, those are examples of what somebody can bring to meet that exceptional performance category. For example, let's look at betterment. That's in the middle. Somebody that meets expectations in that category or with that conversation would accept feedback. They would embrace change. You know, you wouldn't have to really like pull teeth to get them to do something different or to be able to provide them with some constructive feedback. But the difference between that person and somebody that maybe exceeds is that they're actively seeking out opportunities to grow. They're actively suggesting improvements to systems, bringing forward ideas, and leaving things better than what they started with. So it's kind of a shift from, well, like, you know, solidly being good performer to like being proactive and kind of taking that initiative. So we feel that these are performance indicators or behavioral indicators that can apply to every position across the county. We have 150 plus different positions that do very different things. But we're really saying this is how we expect people to show up to work. And it can be quantitative, right? You can say, look, I want you to learn how to run a
Right.
something excavator. It's the only one I got.
No, you're good.
But it can also be these things. And we're not saying like you have to rate in every one of these categories, but this is a foundation for you to say, hey, like you're showing up to work pretty grumpy and you can be really, I mean, there's probably a better way to say that, but you know, like somebody that's really unapproachable, you can't give them feedback.
Made it a lot nicer.
You're right on the head.
Yeah,
Some people do show up to work grumpy.
exactly.
Why? I don't get it. I mean,
Maybe they do their job just fine, but like we're saying, it's also about how you show up to work.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so.
Well, if you're walking in at 1 minute, 2, if you're like, you're ready to go and
Correct.
have a good attitude.
Yeah,
Well, the whole team suffers, right? I mean, that's first thing when you build a team is you surround yourself with like people. So if you're grumpy, you're gonna want grumpy people around you. If you're not and you want to get out and perform, you're gonna want performers around you. And you're either an energy giver or you're an energy sucker. So
so someone that maybe solidly like does their job or can run that equipment well, but shows up with kind of a bad attitude, you would maybe say you meet expectations. You do like your technical skills are great, but what I'm seeing is like sometimes it's hard for coworkers to approach you or give you feedback. And in order for you to get to that next level, I would like to see you kind of hone in on that.
It'll be fun.
mine,
I'll make it fun.
We know you.
I do have a funny one for you. Some of the guys when we were talking about it said, so when Brent gives everybody exceeds expectations, what are you gonna do? He goes, he'll be sitting down in a meeting with all HR.
But we haven't
Well, that-
identified like certain quotas of like how many can exceed expectations. We want it to be like your true rating of
That was,
them.
that was gonna be my comment is, I hope that there isn't a number attached to departments that like, oh, we only want this many in this, you know what I mean? I mean, I hope because the only way it's really gonna work and you're gonna really accomplish your goal, which obviously is keeping good people here and rewarding the high performers and challenging talented
Yeah.
people to take the next step forward. We need you to make our team better,
Mhm.
whatever is to be able to pass this on. And I know where the numbers fall too, you know, just historically that most are gonna fall here and a few percent here and here, but you know, I hope that's my only fear is I felt like a couple different times in my career, like, oh, there's a quota,
Yeah.
you know, you were given, you can only do 3 or you can only do 5 or, you know, it's like, yeah.
That's not.
Well, I think it'll definitely gotta work both ways. I mean, I gotta come in with a good attitude. They gotta come in with a good attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, and if I come in with a bad attitude, that's not gonna be good for you guys. So I mean, I don't ever try to do that. So I won't say what Dustin says sometimes, but anyway, or what my wife said. I'm not gonna tell you what my wife says, but
And when we talk about workplace culture, it's really about how people feel at work. And I know we're in the highway like, talking about feelings, but it really is, right? And
you never.
everyone on the team contributes to that. It's not, you can't single-handedly create a good workplace culture. Everyone has to contribute to that, and that's how
Well,
we try to.
I watched a good team work yesterday for little bits and pieces when I watched his team working in my neighborhood. It was like, they're just really good, you know, and they, as soon as they were done, they huddled and they moved and they were back at it. And I was like, that's impressive. But so,
I do have good employees, so I appreciate that.
yeah,
They work hard. They've been working hard this week for sure. Long hours.
So why are we doing this? To be honest, this has been a lift. We've been going around to each department trying to also bring them along and why we are proposing these changes because we know that folks are feeling it. We know that honestly managers are getting are holding a lot in having to change or do more with their approach, have those hard conversations more regularly. And we talked about how we're proposing to remove that step system, which currently is fixed at 2.75%. So if I'm on step 4 and I would move up to step 5 next year, I will get 2.75% more. And I would also get the equivalent of whatever grid adjustment was applied, which is usually around 2%. So around 4.75% annually, which is significant when we think about, you know, some maybe private sector competitors and our neighboring counties as well. So the reason why we are proposing to remove that is because we would like a little bit more flexibility to say, well, we can't quite do 2.75% this year, but maybe we could do 1% or 2%. Right now, we don't have that ability. And we've heard from people, well, why don't you just give a step and not apply a cost of living adjustment? But the downside to that is that our pay grade starts to fall out of competitiveness. If we don't keep up with the Joneses, we won't. So
and/or step 11, people get nothing.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
I'm saying.
that, those 70 people at the top won't get anything. Yep. And so with that 4.75% increase year over year, that's about an additional $2 million that the board has to identify how they're funding each year. And we're worried about that being fiscally sustainable. And we can talk more, we'll dive into some numbers in the next few slides. And then also that employee satisfaction survey again, we've done 2 years in a row. About a quarter of our staff are already dissatisfied with compensation. So you might ask, like, why are you proposing to give them less then? But what's been interesting in digging into that is it's more about, well, I show up to work and give it my all, and I see, Tommy over here barely contributing, and he gets the same increase that I do. And what's motivating me to keep doing that? And so that is what we're looking to address as part of these changes, as well as just meaningful and effective performance management and accountability across the board. That's for employees, but that's, like I said, honestly, a big component of this is for managers to really have those hard conversations and give that feedback. It's really easy to avoid it because it's not fun.
And I'll pick on Brent because he's here, right? If Brent does give everybody an exceeds, his employees know who the top performers and who the ones are, and they will hold him accountable if he does that. And that's typically you're held accountable with the high performers leaving, right?
Right. Which is what we're trying to avoid. So when we talk about us being concerned about this being fiscally sustainable, how we're doing it now, that step and the cost of living adjustment around the 4.75%. When we look at the net new construction rates year over year, right, that's that additional percentage that we can increase the tax levy by. That's the developments that in the county, more taxpayer dollars, right? It's in 2024 sat at about a 1.5%. 2025 just under that. So when we look at 4.75% increase for almost all employees, and this is the additional revenue that we have to pay for that, that's where we get concerned. So what does that look like? Or what has that looked like the last 5 years? So in 2020, this top number here, that was our overall salary and fringe costs. So that's 2020. 2025, that's increased to 49 million. And this is what's been applied year over year, right? Those steps. There was 1 year where there were no steps, and that was hard, right? Employees were disappointed about that. And so, although they're not going to be, we've had some discontentment around removing the step system, but we feel like that's necessary in order to not have that annual dilemma of can we give a step and a cost of living adjustment.
So the numbers on the bottom, keep that.
Yep.
The numbers on the bottom of that bar, that is the levy increase based on net new construction that happened on.
Yep.
That's how much more levy we had to spend.
Yep. And this $2 million roughly, that's how much more the salary and fringe costs went up. So it went up by this, and we had this much more to spend.
So obviously there's grants and other funding and things like that that also factor into that. But as we talked about our controllable revenues and things, that's where that measures.
So this is really where, when we look at the next 5 years, if we stayed status quo doing what we're doing now, that roughly 4.75% each year, we would be looking at 62 million by 2030. And you can see each year over year, 2.4, 2.5. That's an additional 2.5 million that we need to find. And then we kind of compared that to like what it would look like to give a 2.75% annually. That's kind of in line with what we're proposing. That's you can see the difference here in what that math's out. So it's still significant. We still got to find, we're proposing what we are,
So the,
986,000, but it's not 2.3 million.
okay, that begins to answer my question. The bottom number is the 2.75.
No, that's a difference.
Oh, the difference
between,
So it's
this
50
is 2.7.
Yeah, it's
from
51.
4.75 to 2.
It's the difference between 51 and 50.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. It's a little over 1 million.
And one of the things we've really talked about is how language matters. So we're not talking about cutting anything. We're talking about decreasing what we will spend in the future. So it's the difference between saying, I currently spend $500 a month on groceries and now I need to spend $400 a month on groceries. This is, I currently spend $500 in groceries. I anticipate a year from now I'm going to spend $600 on groceries. How can I lessen the amount that I'm going to spend in the future? It's not about cutting
Not
anything.
Saving anything.
Yeah.
I'll put in a system in place so you don't have to cut anything.
Yes.
Well, and that's really
So-
what we're doing.
And I think as much as we're projecting at that 2.75, the proposal is changing steps. And then having that be an annual proposal of what those percentages will be. So even though this year we're talking about 2.75, it may be 1 next year, it may be 5 next year, right?
Mhm.
That'll be something that we will be bringing to the Committee on Administration and then kind of through the board on an annual basis of what those numbers should be.
But it gives us the flexibility to be able to come with what we believe is sustainable and affordable.
Yeah, that's these numbers.
Yep.
This is what we would recommend in the spring based on what we can afford. Or what we feel we can afford, right? That's your decision.
It also gives you the flexibility. Please don't do it at the November meeting, but but you can kind of set that as part of the budget. Because right now, you, just like us, are stuck at that 2.75 is the only.
So it allows us to basically kind of relative based on their performance of like, say we can't give them that full step.
Mhm.
It's not like, okay, we can't give you anything this year. It's we can still give you something. It
Yeah.
might not be as
Split
much
the
as last
difference a
year's,
little.
but you're
Yeah.
still getting something no matter where you're
Yeah.
at.
Honestly, if we stayed status quo, it would be really hard for us to propose to you as the board and say we recommend a 2% cost of living adjustment and steps. We would probably say we would recommend only a cost of living adjustment this year and not providing steps. So that would be only about a 2% increase. We're looking to like meet in the middle, but we don't have that ability now because of that fixed step. Yeah. Is that what you were?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, when you're talking about the budget, I know I've been on the town board for many years. And it seems like whenever something else goes up, well, we gotta take it off the highway. It seems like the highway is always where the money comes out of. That can be the same thing here then or not? I mean,
Well, we're looking to have less of a gap to help balance that, right?
This isn't a change, Gary, from what has been the process in the past. If you go back to Jenna, can you go back one slide? You can see that so there's the black number at the top and the blue number right below that is the amount that we had to find each year.
okay.
So this year we had to find $2 million. Now, some of that was found, as Dan said, some of that was found in grant funding and whatever. So it wasn't we had to find all of that in levy, but we had to figure out how to absorb that already.
Mhm.
And we're just talking about how can we move the needle so we don't have so much of that to absorb every year.
Mhm.
And I know going through here, like over the years, there's always been a sign right out front there, like we're not hiring any help. That must mean that it's not a problem to find help for the highway department. I'm just looking at the highway department. You know, so it seemed like we've always had hard time, like, you know, not getting employees because we've always been filled right up. Not all the time, but
I'd say that we're fairly lucky in Dunn County. I would say here at the highway. There's a lot of other surrounding counties that are understaffed and are not full. And on my side, we are full. I know Dan's looking for a mechanic right now, but we've been pretty lucky compared to when I go to meetings with other counties.
okay.
They're always looking and we are not. I feel pretty lucky.
I would say like the mechanic, like that can be a little bit more difficult to find
Yeah.
Certain
when they open up.
Special skill sets.
Yeah,
Well, there are so many jobs out there that
the private sector.
anybody, we all could go and make a lot more money, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's amazing what they're paying out there. I mean, I had a son that just left the city and I mean, yeah, he's on the road, he's not home, but different lifestyles. But the county, I believe is very flexible and a good place to work. That's what people want. That's what, yeah.
So knowing that this is a big change in employees and us alike, and employees too, are really feeling this, and we know that it's important to communicate this well and often. So we put together a plan for that, which we're partway through. We started with a short video kind of explaining the performance process in the form of a countywide communication. And we are, I would say about 75% way through meeting with each department individually. We decided that was important because we didn't want to have a meeting with 200 people in a room where like people are scared to speak up and ask the question. And so we've put a lot of time into it's like a road show. But I think it's been really valuable. We've been delivering the same information that I just told you to them, not to say like, hey, you're not worth this extra $2 million year over year, but to say like we are trying to do our job in proposing something that's sustainable so that we don't have that really difficult decision down the road as far as cuts or removing programs. So we don't do that to spread fear, but we're trying to be as transparent as we can be. So knowing that this goes through committees and boards and this isn't final, this has evolved and may continue to evolve. We will provide ongoing email updates to staff with each change. And then once we have that final stamp on the budget in November, we will put together individual compensation statements for people so they know exactly what they make now and exactly what they'll make in 2026. We'll also include more of like what's called a total comp statement in that. It's not something we've provided ever, but it will outline all the benefits that they have and the costs associated with those. And then January, February, we intend to host some town hall sessions or listening sessions to hear what's going well, what's not, so that we can take that feedback and consider it in what we would propose for 2027. And just in general, ongoing support. We started, if you recall, as of 2024, really pouring into management and leadership training. Really like giving people the tools to have those hard conversations and do them well. And we will continue to do that as much as possible. And we would also be providing training of that nature to employees, not just managers. So looking to create a culture of feedback being a gift, right? We live in the Midwest and we're all Midwest nice. And so it's not necessarily automatic for us to say, hey, you really could improve in that way. But we want to make that part of the culture here at Dunn County.
I really feel, Jenna, that this was great because and to me, it's kind of like pay for performance, you know, and that's what I've always wanted because of, you know, when you do a review, all you can really say is, hey, you're doing a great job, you know, but you can't do anything else. Keep it up. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing to reward them with, where this here, you know, you're gonna have a little anyway of giving them the motivation, you know, that should be, yeah, I think it's great.
So this, I mean, we stuck in some other things here. We talked about this core values rubric already. Just in anticipation of those questions, like how could everyone just more and more and more and more, but it's not always quantitative. This is what we've communicated to employees as their role in this. We want them to understand what's expected of them at work. I want them to actively engage in those performance conversations, really show up and own their goals and development, but also provide a manager with feedback, right? Just as much as an employee can't fix what they don't know about, a manager can't either. And so that's that piece that we said where we would train employees on as well, because we know that's not comfortable. And this is just another breakdown of costs. We just talked about it, but yeah, this is a slide that we've gone over with each department to say, like, why are we, like, we are really doing this to avoid having to make dramatic decreases in expenditures in other areas in order to keep funding this. All I have. What feedback, questions, concerns?
So that 2.75, that's not locked in for the future years. I mean, because you're gonna look at cost of living. I mean, if the cost of living goes up 4%. You can't really do a 2.75.
We call it cost of living. It's really more of a market adjustment.
I know,
Right, because like 2% doesn't even, I mean, you know, but we need to stay competitive with our neighboring counties that are considered
So
comparable.
our plan kind of going forward with that, because yes, those numbers would change every year,
Okay.
is that we would make a presentation to the Committee on Administration somewhere around the April timeframe. And that's when Jenna and I and whoever else will kind of say, this is the number that we think. So that cost of living adjustment is something that we get through a firm that we contract with that kind of provides us, you know, where the sweet spot is there as to how the world is changing and our neighbors are changing. So we'll kind of make a presentation to the Committee on Admin in April to say, this is what we're thinking for these raises. And that will be, it's kind of a soft adoption by the committee at that point. But that's what we will then use as part of our budget. So like right now, our departments by Friday have to submit their final budgets to administration. And that includes those personnel costs. And currently those are based off of that 2.75% that and 3.25 that you're seeing. So we'll get the Committee on Administration to say, yep, that's a good number. But that doesn't actually, and that's true right now. It usually comes in the September board. I think it's the September or October board meeting that you're typically approving the pay plan. And that's where now you would approve like the 2% plus steps or something like that. But obviously that's a huge component of the budget.
Sure.
And you said this already, but I want to be clear that the change to the personnel code that you will review in July is necessary in order to do this, because it specifically says 11 steps on each pay grade. So there are some other changes that we'll go through the reasons why, but that also needs to happen in order for this.
So for the board timeframe wise, the Committee on Administration will act on the ordinance change in July. And
Well,
because
first
of,
reading, right?
no, well, the
Act.
Committee on Admin will act on it.
Yeah.
And then that will come to the July board meeting, just because it's a late July board meeting, it actually works. So first reading for the board will be in July. There is no August. Well, there's the budget workshop, but it's not a real meeting. So the second reading will be in September for the ordinance, right? So as you get in there, and that's kind of part of having that conversation with you. So if that ordinance isn't adopted in September, it's almost too late.
Mhm.
Which means we would stay at the
Right.
adult way. So we want to make sure you're fully informed and provide any feedback.
How about employees, other costs like health insurance? Is that gonna be, stay the same? Are they gonna be paying more for that or what are all the
So-
other side costs here?
I will say that as it stands now, we're self-funded for health
Right.
insurance, right? We're spending more than we're taking in premiums.
Mhm.
So it's not been a good year. We've had a lot of really difficult
Right.
medical conditions, across our employees and their families. Not really avoidable.
Mhm.
We will have a little bit more of an idea of what we can do with that once we have it, like at least the draft audit to know where our like net position was for that piece of the general fund.
I'm just curious, because if you're
We-
giving them 2.5%, you're serving percent more in health.
No, we
insurance.
do whatever
This is gonna
possible
fly really
to
well.
not.
We're well
take
aware,
away
and our
from
hope
employee
is
raises.
we have a healthy self-insurance fund and we
Yeah,
can
we
at least absorb what we need to for next year. That's the hope.
Okay.
But we won't know until we see the final audit numbers and.
Yeah, and I would add that, so that pay plan is a resolution that would be adopted in September. So that we'll have better numbers around premiums then. So it is well within the realm of possibilities that we say we need to increase that to 3.75 and 4.25
That's what I
in
mean.
order to absorb that. And
Okay.
that's something that we would be bringing to go to the committee in September and then to the board in September. Well, sorry, committee in August and the board in September, whatever that is.
Yeah, we try to bring it at
Yeah.
the same time as wages, so that,
I'm just curious, because I mean, if you're gonna charge them more. someplace
Yes,
else.
Well,
exactly.
so the Committee on Administration has made it very clear that they will not approve a pay plan that is going to do exactly what you're talking about. And so
Yeah.
we know that we stuck up their entire increase with premiums.
And we know that this kind of attention and time on your part takes a lot of your time. Like we know this just went, close to an hour. But I also really believe that the more information that you have, the better decisions that you can, informed decisions that you can make. So there are, those sort of handful of things over time that really seem worth coming out to the committees to talk about so that you're not seeing it, or you don't have to read 48 pages of documentation in order to get the gist of it before you make a decision on a broader level.
No, I like this ahead of time, so we got time to think about it before the next step.
Mhm.
More questions by that time,
I'm happy to sit down with any of you individually and answer questions and walk through this more, so don't hesitate to reach out. Want to chat? Dan and Chris know that I'll chat for hours if you let me. All right, thank you.
please get the. I know what.
And if you're meeting with departments, that is one of the handouts that every employee receives. Which is
You guys got 20.7.
I'll make it quick.
It's been spending his last month talking to employees about everything.
Oh, yeah. And
Sure you have.
We meet with the highway next.
God help us.
Should be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for
On
fun.
the rainy day, right? Not on the nice day.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, generally, you gotta be flexible, because these guys gotta be out there when it's like this, but when it's raining.
It's on the 17th, so it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
17.
You might want more than 3 o'clock.
That's what
That'll be motivation. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can come earlier.
I can, yeah. Wherever you need.
Record's 45 minutes, the average is about an hour 45.
Yeah, 'cause I know we're done at 4. If you want to come earlier, you can change it.
All right.
Let you get back on.
Agenda. Staff reports number 6, commissioners report.
So on our agenda, obviously, we just went through the presentation for the wage proposal, highway shop operations, engineering project updates. The County Road B, Cedar Falls Bridge traffic concerns, O'Galley Dam lease update, and 2025 highway financials. So we'll go through our highway and shop operations. So I'll turn it over to Brent and Dan.
Okay. Well, I will say currently up to date, our 4 projects that we had out on S, north of town, County Road G, and 25 to D. County Road Y down by O'Galley and County Road J. Everything is all paved and shouldered. The concrete driveways were poured this week and the curb out on J has been poured. We do have one intersection left that we need to put blacktop in, and that'll probably be sometime next week. We'd like to wait right around a week before we match up to that curb to let it cure. It sounds like paint won't be here till the 21st. I believe that we are opening those projects up. Is that correct, Dustin? We're gonna open those roads up to the public with some signs out there saying no center line striping, stuff like that. So they will be open, I believe, this week, all of those projects. The roads will not be closed. We do have the pulverizer coming back in for some of these other roads and projects that we have, like double B from 12 to 25. That should be about the week of the 21st. Also hoping to pulverize, we are starting a project out on County Road G from double B to the Jakes Bridge. That will be starting Monday. There are signs out there letting the public know that that's going to be coming next week. On the projects like that, that's our asphalt projects, our road construction. That's what we have going on so far. This week, we also have been chip sealing our maintenance on our roads throughout the county. There's a lot of roads and townships up north. We are working our way south. That should be, barring any breakdowns or weather, should be completed at the end of the night, at the end of the day tomorrow. So it is going good as of right now. All those roads will be done. We also have a crew up on 79. We chipped that yesterday, 4.5 miles from Boyceville south. And that is being swept today so they can mark that up for painting. And they're hoping to paint the first layer of paint, the first coat tomorrow, 72. So things are moving along pretty good. Obviously, last weekend, with the storm that went through, we had plenty of storm cleanup to do. We've got guys out. We had like 30 to 40 trees along 25 south from Menominee to the county line that we had to clean up and get pushed back and clean the brush up. They did that Monday and Tuesday. We do have some trees still on some county roads. They are off the road. We will get to them. There's plenty to do, but they're not a hindrance to anybody. They're not in the way. Also a lot of washouts that we are taking care of. I mean, there are some I'm sure that we will miss, but we're going to try not to. So they are working on them. I got a crew of about 5 working on that. Let's see. We are continuing to mow the state, with all the rain that's been kind of held up too, and some breakdowns with some tractors and mowers that we've had. I'd say they're probably going to give us an extension of about a week. And then I'm hoping that we can get up, start moving up north on the county beats, because yes, I am receiving some phone calls.
Okay.
And we're doing the best we can with what we've got right now.
So we haven't started the county road yet.
We have not started
Just
mowing the
the
county road,
okay.
just the state. We also confirmed, I mean, I know I talked to Dustin yesterday. We have structures for the County Road G project that we're gonna start next week. And then also that's storm sewer structures, that is catch basin water containment structures. They are gonna be delivered, hoping Monday to our shop. Then if we ever get that job out there by Jake's, they are here. So everything is made. And
Question on Jake's too. Like, I don't know if it's for you or you, but like how much of that, I'm sure I'm gonna be asked all the time. How much of that is gonna be like it's closed indefinitely, or is there gonna be through traffic, or how does that? How's that gonna work?
We're gonna close it indefinitely through through traffic. Just for the safety of our crew out there, so we can limit the number of vehicles coming through there. As of right now, that's what we're gonna be proposing on G. County Road D yet is kind of up in the air, but when and if that does happen, we would be doing the same thing. But it would just be limited for through traffic. We would allow businesses to still access the roadway. So it will be a hindrance, but unfortunately, with construction, it's expected. So
So like on the south side of the bridge is gonna get shut down there, right? I would assume.
yes, we're gonna shut it down right at D. Yep.
And we are hoping to complete that project on G.
We gave Brent a 3-week time frame to get it done.
We'll get
Why so long?
Do they get done at 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
We thought that was generous, so.
it. Yeah. No, they'll get it. I know the one guy I talked to this morning, like, what are you thinking? Like, and I'm like, no, 3 weeks. Oh, okay. Okay. And you know, we do have, we've got a lot of culverts and ditching maintenance that we need to do. So I've got a lot of locates called in for all those little projects that we have. Tomorrow we are gonna go out. I know that you guys have probably seen it. Some have, some haven't, but that rock cut by CNY, that is full after all this rain. It has been, so we are gonna be going to dig that out tomorrow. We'll probably haul that fill that is behind those concrete barriers back here tomorrow. So that is the plan for that tomorrow. But yeah, I am very, very happy that we put those concrete barriers up back when we did. That is just a constant battle from that rock wall washing down. It was every time it rained, we were getting called out for rocks on it. So that is, I'm glad we put that in. But it is full and it's time to be cleaned out again. And usually it's about once a year. But we gotta clean that.
Which isn't bad, better than digging
No,
the ditch.
last year we did not clean it out at all. The 1 year we had to do it twice. So I mean, it averages out and it is definitely to the point because it is leaching over. So any questions on my part?
Blow ups and all.
Oh, I did not talk about the blow.
Well, I was on call.
Yes, we had some blow ups on the interstate. We had last week, we did some repairs on the interstate. There was two, both sides of the road, just east of the 41 on ramp. So they went out and worked on those throughout the night, which is not, they don't love it. Because, I mean, in my mind, I know it's with the state, the DOT, they think it's safer because there's less traffic, but in my mind, I don't think that because traffic is flying by 2 feet away, if not closer, at 65 miles an hour. So Guys are not pleased about having to work out there at night. They would rather do it during the day when the traffic is just creeping by. But they see it other ways. State sees it the other way. Cause they think there's less accidents. And we did have an accident out there. It wasn't our guy, just a semi driver decided he wanted to make a U-turn on the interstate. Didn't pan out, so. But, you know, when you get a phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning and they tell me, well, we have an accident at the 41, I'm thinking, oh my God, that's right where the guys are working. And no, but they did confirm it was west of that. But, so I mean, they don't enjoy it. You know, they'd love to see a little more compensation for it, but we can only give them what we give them. And, you know, we can't do it during the day until it gets after Labor Day. So,
That was a big blowout. Had to take care of it.
yeah, there was two vehicles that hit that blowout, which it is very dangerous when that happens. I think they flew about 70 feet in the air when they hit that. There was two vehicles that hit it at going about 70 miles an hour, and they went for the Dukes of Hazzard riding.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt though?
Nobody got hurt. Their vehicles were just bent up bumpers. Nobody got hurt. But like I'm saying, with our guys out
There's the
there,
buckle
it is,
right there.
you know,
Flame.
you got barrels out there, you got all our crash trucks, we have everything out there we're supposed to have out there, but we had a guy that semi driver hit a barrel and I mean, right into the group of guys that
Our
was
bridge.
so it was right there. It's
Yes, they were.
a very dangerous job.
20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but if that would have went down, then.
they'd
Yeah.
rather do it during the day, is all I'm saying.
That's the one.
Can you get somebody out there with cement at night or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can, huh?
Yep. It's about twice the cost,
Yeah.
but that's what, I mean, we don't have to pay for it, the state does. I guess we all do in the long run,
Yeah.
but,
Can see.
yeah,
It's state every year.
it's extra money to start up the plant at night,
Yeah.
Put lime rock in there
So-
and just put a top coat of.
but it is,
When the semi.
it sucks when it gets 95 to 100 degrees, because then you gotta worry about that too. But they did a very good job, they got it fixed, and we're up and running.
That's what we did right now. That's what Brad was talking about, the nighttime work.
Okay.
That's what it was for, was to replace that concrete, so it would hold.
So other than that, we do have some other blowouts, you know, there's some little ones out on the interstate that are not that bad. That we will have to replace, that we can wait till after Labor Day, and we do have one right out front here. One down by the bank, kind of just this side of the bank. And I wish we had an answer on how to have that stop happening, but no one seems to have an answer for that.
Cooling tubes.
That would be an answer, but God, how much would that cost? I always said with the place, you know, the houses I had on the hills that I had, I wish I had warming tubes so you wouldn't slide down the driveway. But that's all I have. And I guess we can move on to Dan. I do have to get one. We gotta meet a guy I was supposed to meet him at 9:30.
Blame HR.
Well, like always. No, I never blame you, Jenna. Okay, thank you, guys. He is part of HR. That's what they call me, HR liaison. Thank you, guys.
As far as shop operations, like Dustin has there, the routine services and repairs. And we did get the bucket truck certified. It's an annual certification. You have to do it. And it passed fine. And just,
Who does that for you?
American Test Center. They're up in, I think it's New Richmond area, or not New Richmond, probably River Falls. In there somewhere. I can give you the information if you want to contact. It takes them quite a while to do it. They go through a thorough test. So that was completed. We did get the fleet maintenance program going up and running, which is gonna be really helpful, especially for documentation when we make work orders, so it goes right to the mechanic, he knows what to do. Also, when our drivers do a pre-trip inspection, they can do it on their smartphone and it comes right to me in the computer. So if there's something wrong with it, you get notified right away, you know. That's really helpful. We haven't done a lot of snowplow work yet, but we're trying to. We're gonna start with the sanders and replace the bearings and the augers and stuff and get them ready to go. We lost one of our mechanics, mechanic welder, Corey, resigned, so that hurts a little, you know. He was one of them that was helping build our trucks, so we need to find a replacement, you know, as soon as we can. Sounds like we have a few good candidates, so that's good. We did receive the last 2 trucks from Universal. We have them in our yard. You have the tandem axles that we got done. We do have the triaxle sitting out there that we haven't finished yet. We got tag axles on them, stuff like that. But that completes the order that we put in back probably in 23 of the 8 trucks. 23 season. You know, so we waited that long to get these 8 trucks.
Do you have any more trucks coming in now already for the future?
We have 3 ordered for next year.
Oh, okay.
You know, so it takes a long time to get them. We haven't got our loader yet, which is kind of concerning. We could use that. Still waiting on that. And the broom that we had ordered, whatever, I think you said the end of July, possibly.
Early July.
Early July.
So build it.
Building that. We are working on the pre-wet systems on those 2 new tandems. Tony's working on that. We do that ourselves. Install the brine tank, the wedge tanks, and then build the spray booms. And then those trucks will be used for the winter. So that's good. We've got 2 more trucks to replace the older ones for next winter or this coming winter. We are going to have a pretty good expense on our number 5 loader, our 966 inch tires. I looked at it yesterday and we should replace all 4. They're really weather checked, getting bad, cuts and stuff in. But the price of the tires are tremendous. They're $5,000 a piece, so we're going to have 20,000. So just so you're aware of that, that's, yeah.
What are those? 2012.
2012 was the age of them. That's the age of the looper. This is the first set of tires. To put in the tires. So they're 13, 14 years old. And again, from sitting outside, if you look at the tread and stuff, you know, they're really cracking real bad. That's our enemy again, you know. Yeah, so you'll be seeing that next month, probably in the field. We did have an issue with our paver, which kind of hurt. The fuel tank cracked, and so we couldn't use it. So we took it over to Roland. That's where we purchased it from, and thought maybe we'd get it done sooner with them, which they worked on it really well. But it's in the middle of the machine underneath, and they ended up having to take the screed off, and all. They had a lot of time. So I'm sure we're going to see a bill on that. Sure, it's out of warranty.
I was gonna say the warranty's probably.
It should be warranty work, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen, but you know, the machine was a couple years old. I think when we bought it, we had it 3-4 years. Yeah, other than that, that's kind of what we're doing. Getting ready for winter here shortly. Because it will be here. We did I guess we did not receive our blades yet. We haven't received. Anyway, we're setting good on blades for this. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions? Anything?
Thanks, Hank.
Okay, yeah, so it should be good.
Perfect. Well, I'll continue on with our engineering project updates. So just to give you an update on the County Road D project, from 420th to County Road K, that's the Irvington Hill. They actually just started paving it, yesterday. So these pictures, were from actually this morning. I ran out there, took some pictures. So that's the hill portion going up the hill. As you can see, there is tree damage and already there was a number of trees I noticed up there that have fallen down just with the work that's going on. So they're looking at having that paved by this week and early next to have that completely finished. So restoration, guardrail, and some pavement markings are just there to finish it up. Anticipating the project to be done here by the end of July. The County Road D and G project, obviously Brent mentioned we are going to be looking at starting that portion of County Road G next week. We do have message boards out. We have posted to Facebook that we will be starting this project. Unfortunately, it is going to impact the public. We do know that a lot of vehicles come through there. We will be shutting that road down for through traffic, and only the residents utilizing that should be on that road. Hopeful, like I said, 3 weeks to get that project completed is our goal. Not a whole lot of work there, just some shoulder widening. We are realigning Town Road intersection to come in more perpendicular to the roadway instead of on an angle. A little bit of storm sewer, and a little bit of curb and gutter. So hopefully we can have that done. County Road D project. I did talk to one of the landowners yesterday. We have 2 remaining parcels that we're looking at acquiring to start this project. One of the parcels basically wanted a little bit more money, which I agreed to give them for the parcel. It wasn't a whole lot, it was a couple $100 more. But we are confident that they will sign on the dotted line here very shortly. And then I did speak with the real estate agent on their other remaining parcel, and they are very confident that that individual will sign as well. There was a few little stipulations that they wanted us to commit to prior to signing. But we are hopeful in the next few weeks here to have those 2 parcels acquired. Once that County Road G portion is completed, we will be looking at starting County Road D. And I'm looking at, regardless if we acquire the parcels or not, to start that project from Highway 25 to the Lambs Creek Bridge. That first basically mile stretch, we can complete in our existing road right away for 95% of that portion. So we are looking at starting that. We will obviously be communicating with Jake's Pioneer. Obviously, that does pose an issue with the traveling public going in and out of their establishment. So more information to come on that. But like I said, we will be starting at least at a minimum that portion very shortly here once County Road G is completed. Like Brent mentioned, we do have the storm sewer inlets and catch basins ordered for that. So once they arrive and we get all the parcels acquired, we can start that project. Just to go through the other projects, like Brent mentioned, S from State Highway 170 to N is completed. We did open that up yesterday. So we did take the barricades down. We do have to have the pavement markings completed yet. County Road G from D to 25, same thing there. We did finish that. Roadway is open to the public. County Road Double B, we will be looking at pulverizing the existing asphalt on that roadway. We will be beginning that blading shortly thereafter, and we will be making some improvements to shoulder widening and additional signage at the curve right by the railroad tracks. That, for some reason, has a significant crash history. Yeah, what we believe is majority of the speed related. just going too fast for conditions and running off the roadway. So we are gonna be making some improvements there, some extra signage, paving the curve as wide as we can. So we're looking at improving that.
Well, that's
Hopefully,
good because there's a lot of people that cut that corner too. I was coming around there the other day and there's a semi, guy had my dump truck and trailer. Semi.
it is a sharp curve. So,
I got no place to go and he's already in the corner. I mean.
Yep. Yeah.
So yes, that would help if that was wide.
and I know we have had some landowners on the job that on Double B that have concerns with some safety of limited sight distance of intersections. But unfortunately, the scope of the project is to do a pulverize and repave. There isn't a crash history at these intersections, so it's hard to justify making improvements and putting a large cost into it that so we have no justification. County Road J from Menominee city limits to 410th Avenue, so that has been completed. We did make some improvements to some of the curves by adding some signage. We installed some night arrows. We are looking at the possibility, this is later in the agenda, to reduce the speed limit for a portion of this roadway coming into the city. Obviously, there's a lot of residential growing out there, a lot of pedestrians. So we did widen the road from existing 24 foot. Majority of it is 26 feet. And a little extra foot does help. So we did do that to help alleviate some of the concern with safety on that roadway. The only thing that needs to be completed, like I said, is pavement markings. But that road will be opened up by the end of the day today. So that should make a lot of people happy. County Road Y, obviously we've mentioned that we did finish that. I did put some pictures there. That is the finished roadway up in the upper right-hand corner. And I did want to mention that we did try something different when we did this paving on this particular stretch of Y. We utilized a transfer machine from Monarch, who supplies the asphalt that we get. So as you can see, the dump truck loads into that machine. That machine agitates the mixture and then places it in the hopper of our paver. So this is to help reduce the segregation of the roadway. So obviously, when we get the material from the plant, it's in a truck, we haul it to the job site. It has different temperatures throughout that truck. So the top layer is usually colder, the bottom layer is hotter. So when you put that down on the road, you can see that. So this is to eliminate that. And as you can see, it's up in the upper right-hand corner, it's uniform. A lot of times you will see a lot of that segregation. That segregation is the first spot that it's going to deteriorate and age over time. That's where all your potholes start forming, is the different temperatures. Very low cost. We paid about $1 per ton to rent that machine from them. So I don't recall if there was 5,000 tons of material. It was an extra $5,000. But in the long run, we are hopeful that will extend the life of the road. And it was a trial. We wanted to see it. It wasn't exactly perfect by any means. We did have some problems with the machine actually tearing up the existing asphalt because there's a bogey wheel on the front that's supposed to be oiled constantly. Well, the tack oil was picking up the asphalt from it. So we did experience that, and that is a very common issue with that machine. So learn as we go type of thing. And then last but not least, the P17-925 County Road B Flayton Creek Bridge. That project is actually going to start next week. We did have a pre-construction meeting yesterday. So that project will be started next week. The road will be shut down for approximately 2 months. We will not be signing a detour. It's basically shutting the road down, and locals will have to find their own way around. It is a very, very long detour, and I know locals will be taking town roads regardless, so. As you can see, these are pictures from this morning on County Road J, just south of town. Going into, the County Road Double B Cedar Falls Bridge concerns. So obviously with the concrete buckling on the I-94, was an event that we didn't consider. So when I-94 gets shut down, semi-traffic goes wherever they want. Fortunately, they were utilizing Highway 25 at exit 41 and utilizing exit 45. And bypassing the interstate closure and going through Cedar Falls. Blatant disregard of the weight restriction on the roadway. I received a number of emails and phone calls from concerned citizens that live on that stretch of Double B during this event. And at one time, they counted 239 semis went over this bridge. We're assuming they were loaded. We don't know. But obviously you get to a point where you start driving down Double B and you don't notice the first sign. You get to the bridge, you're already too far. Can't turn around. So what we're looking at trying to do is make some improvements to our signage. We're going to look at putting a sign on Highway 25. The Wisconsin DOT has given us the permission to install that particular sign where it just says County Road Double B 20-ton bridge, no through traffic, is what we're looking at, just to give a little heads up prior to. And then we are looking at installing these signs right at the intersection of 25 and Double B, to give a little bit more notification, obviously enhance the sign, more legibility. We will look at possibility of putting the little whirly birds on top that spin in the wind. I've already looked at the possibility of putting blinking, flashing yellow lights on it. They're about $1,000 a piece. It's an option. We're going to start with just improving those signs. It's deceiving how big those signs are. That sign right there is 7 feet tall when it's all said and done. So if you can't notice that, then you have issues and you probably shouldn't be driving.
We're in Gates and there was a ton going that way too.
Oh yeah, they were going everywhere. So I would prefer them going that way than over this bridge. And we actually did put our traffic counter out after this event just to see if traffic is disregarding this posting. And we did make a determination that we are seeing vehicles greater than 40 feet in length. It doesn't tell us the weights, it'll tell us the length. Consistently on a daily basis. That doesn't mean they're loaded. A semi can theoretically drive over this unloaded. So like I said, we're going to make some improvements on our end. We have notified the State Patrol. State Patrol is going to enforce it. They're going to obviously, in a situation where I-94 gets shut down, they may have to put a deputy up there. Sheriff's Department, I have talked with them. They may have to put a deputy up there. I can't go up there, I guess, and just park our could, but I don't want to get to that point where we're sending highway employees up there and putting a dump truck on each end and restricting all vehicles and saying, well, you can go, but you can't, but you can go. It's just, we're going to do everything in our power to actually just enhance the notification and come up with a plan going forward when a situation like this does happen, what we can do to stop it from becoming something bigger.
Are we putting that on some type of schedule to try and get that thing replaced?
So the Wisconsin DOT was supposed to be sending out the list of all bridges that are on the priority list to be replaced or rehab. That was supposed to be here June 30th. We have not seen it as of today. So I am hopeful this bridge is on the list. But with that being said, it would still take approximately 5 years before start to finish. From the application process to when it would get replaced. So we are looking at that. I have talked to other commissioners. We are looking at maybe making a headline story on this particular bridge with the TDA to kind of maybe say there's structures out there like this that are going to be very high cost to replace. We need to replace these. Like I said, this is something that we need to bring to people's attention before it gets too bad. I don't want to get to the point where we have to shut the road down, but that is a last resort. If it comes to that, based on the condition. Any questions before we move on? Just to give you an update on the O'Galley Dam. So I have been working with Corporation Counsel to review the current lease of the O'Galley Dam. So the original lease was created back in the 1980s. And then there was an amendment made in 2012 when a different firm came in to operate the dam. So the current operator obviously has point blank, they have gone bankrupt. So a new company called 06 is taking over the assets of this company. So we have met with 06. They're out of Minnesota. They have been open to basically going through and redoing the current agreement, updated it since 1980. There's a lot of things in there that are kind of not spelled out on who's owns what they can and what they can't do. So we just, like I said, we need to revise that. We did meet with the operators down there. Corp Council wanted to kind of just see the property that the county owns, and just before we go through this whole lease. So like I said, we're in the process of that. More information, obviously, come on that. Highway financials. So these are the Road and Bridge Fund financials. We're looking at overall. You look at our overall internal budget, we're looking at approximately projected of a $1.8 million surplus. But that, just be aware, that's basically what pays for purchasing new equipment. I always want to reiterate that. So $1.8 million looks like a lot of money, and why aren't we spending it? But when you're buying 3 plow trucks at $1 million, it doesn't go very far. So we are going to be monitoring. This is just what we call our road and bridge fund. We are currently projecting being over budget on that by approximately $154,000. We will monitor that. I do know our County Road S project did go over our estimated cost. And I do believe our County Road J project is going to go over estimated cost. So we will have to monitor that and make some adjustments as necessary. And obviously the bridge aid. Not a whole lot to say about the bridge aid. That's basically what the towns get for structures 36 inches in diameter or greater for 50% reimbursement. So this is our CHEMS report through the mid-June. As you can see, there's our big project lists are down here on the bottom. As you can see, County Road S from N to 170, we were approximately $3,300 over budget on that. That was prior to us shouldering and doing the pavement. So I would anticipate that being I don't know, probably $25,000 over budget, so we will have to make some adjustments. County Road J, a lot of this stuff doesn't really have the full cost of the asphalt materials in it quite yet. But as you can see, those are the big dollar amounts, the take up majority of our budget is allocated in our county construction costs. Any questions or explanation? Here's mud. We spend a lot of money. That's all I can tell you. So yeah, you will see a lot of this change over the next month. So our seal coating operations, as you can see, we budgeted $600,000, which is taking place this week. So that's basically how much we will be spending in 1 week. Seal coating operations. So just gives you perspective on how much goes through here. So
The great thing is our roads are getting better and we're getting more fixed, so people should be happy that the quality of our roads around here are getting better.
Agree. I drove back. Highway 29. You leave Wausau and you start heading towards Hattiesburg. It's
Mhm.
it's
Drove across it all winter.
just terrible. I mean, I can't believe it's even functioning. I was like, where the heck's Dustin run? I need him. I'm gonna get this fixed.
no control over that.
It's just crazy though. So you're right. I agree. There's a lot of really good things happening.
Any other questions? Otherwise, thanks for your report, Dustin. Consideration of actions taken by the committee, hey, highway vouchers. Need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve vouchers. Any questions?
You know, you got a lot of little ones, you go through them all and it's just, less than $100.
A lot of it's parts for equipment. Yeah. Majority of it is.
It's like fun, right?
Yeah.
It's this, it's that.
It's never ending.
That 155 will last the police payments.
Yeah, so that 155,000 was the last payment for the quads. That's the big ticket one on
Yeah.
the month.
So they're free and clear.
So yes, they are free and clear. Now we can come up with a plan to replace those. Down the road.
It should last forever. Any other questions?
How's the line rock holding out at our pit? We have the finger pit, everything?
Yep.
Is that holding up pretty good, or is it every couple of years, or,
So typically we crush every other year
okay,
for our projects and a lot of our maintenance items. We crush about 70,000 tons, and I would envision we're only probably going to use about 30 of it this year. So I don't think we will be crushing even next year.
Where'd all the rock come that, no, the G, north the J's?
Everything comes out of our Fender quarry. Unless it's like specific rip wrapping or something like that, where we have to buy it.
Anything else? Any other questions on the? If not, all in favor?
right?
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7B, County Road J, South Speed Reduction.
Yeah, so in your packet, we put together a tentative plan to reduce the speed limit on County Road J from basically the city limits going south approximately, I believe it's 7,500 feet. Um, the current speed limit is statutorily posted at 55 through this entire section. But as you can kind of see on the map, it's highlighted in green is what we're proposing. So Whispering Hills Road is what we call Rifle Range Road. That's basically where,
You're talking about this white area, right?
yeah, I'm sorry, I have a color copy. You guys
Yeah,
have
I'm gonna
black
say-
and white, so it all looks the same. But
To here?
You can tell where it is though.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think,
Yep. Correct.
okay, where it's just wider.
Yeah. I'm trying to cut costs as much as I can. I can't give you guys colors on it. Dan won't let me.
0.1 cent per page.
Oh, it's more than that. Way more than
It's a limit of 100 a year, yes, they.
Well, my copy machine, I don't have to pay that more. You're gonna have to get a new company.
Either way. So basically from 510th Avenue shown on your map there, south approximately 7,500 feet is what we're proposing. Obviously, you can see there's a large number of subdivisions that are in there going all the way to, I can't recall what road that is, 430th, I think it is.
Yeah.
Avenue doesn't show on the map here. But the big concern was those two curves. Those two curves south of there are actually our problematic area where we have a lot of crashes.
Yeah.
And there's 5 driveways just in those 2 curves that do not meet our current standards for sight distance. So if we can reduce the speed limit to 45 through this area, we're hopeful that this will reduce the speeds, reduce the potential for safety concerns, as well as making better accommodations for pedestrians. Obviously, there's a lot of volume of traffic coming in and out of there. So, like I said, we did put together a speed study. So what we were recommending was to reduce the speed limit from the city limits of 510th Avenue southerly, approximately 7,530 feet, to what's highlighted on that map approximately. So,
Is that gotta be okay by the state, Jen, to lower it?
so anything below a 10 mile per hour speed reduction from statutorily 55 does not need to go through the state for approval.
Okay.
But just be aware, so I have been speaking with court counsel about this, so we are looking at, probably putting an ordinance together that lays out all of our speed zones in the county, because right now we don't have anything. Which enforceability, you want to have it set in stone to be able to enforce it. So, that's something that we will be preparing here, hopefully in the next month or two, to bring to county board for improving the highway ordinance showing these speed zones. So lay them out and have them set in stone. So. And a lot of the public along County Road J was really pushing for this as well. They voiced their concerns that they wanted to see the speeds reduced. Not to say people are gonna go 65 miles an hour yet. They probably will. There's no doubt about it, but if we can at least have some be reduced, their speed to help out and make it safer for everybody.
I'll make a motion that we reduce the speed as proposed via the map, and at the conclusion of our new construction out on that road, and 55 to 45.
Second.
Motion made seconded to reduce the speed on County Road J for the proposed area, 55 to 45. Any objection? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. 7C, Boyceville salt shed.
So if you recall, WISDOT has basically given the county the funding to build a new salt shed at the Boyceville location. So we're looking at trying to replace the existing shed that's there currently. Not to say we're gonna tear the existing shed down. It's a 300-ton capacity shed. It's an old wooden structure. I have given our staff basically the ultimatum, if we have to stick $1 into the shed, we're not going to, and we're gonna do away with it at some point in time. But I did prepare through a source well contract. I did provide 2 proposals through this source well contract. So there's one through Calhoun, and then there's one through Brightspan. So there are 2 different contracts through source well. So they provided their proposals to me. So the Structures Unlimited proposal, which is the Calhoun manufacturer, that is the identical shed that is built down in O'Galley. So that would be the identical shed that's down there. That would be built in Boyceville. The other one is from Greystone Construction, which is a Brightspan hoop style shed. They're both hoop style sheds, the fabric tarp roofs. That is the exact same shed that is in Colfax. So we have both of these 2 companies have built sheds for us in the past. The only caveat and difference that we would be looking at doing differently from the existing sheds is we would be putting an end section on with a metal sliding door. So WSDOT has basically said that any open-ended sheds now have to be covered, what's in the shed, for approximately the first 20 to 30 feet inside the shed. So you're kind of defeating the purpose of having a shed if you got it covered. So WSDOT has prepared the funding for this structure. It paid in full. It would just be built on obviously county property. So I have reviewed an agreement basically that says that they would pay for the structure, county would be able to build it on county property, and then basically we would maintain it going forward. And like I said, that's something that is needed. This particular structure that's there now is in poor condition. It also doesn't have the capacity that we need. So this new shed would be 1,000-ton capacity versus a 300-ton capacity. Because constantly we are hauling material from this location to Boyceville in the winter months. So it's not economical, feasible, to continually do that. So
I'll figure it out, because they're different sized buildings. Are they
same capacity though.
same capacity?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're only talking, I just did that
Oh, I was gonna say,
math, and you're talking 5 feet.
Well,
Here's the difference in the size.
here's my question, is if you have to cover that, we're gonna want a longer, narrower one. So you don't have to cover as much, right?
So these proposals actually have a door on. So they have an end section with a metal sliding door. So we would not have to cover this. So when we are not utilizing it in the summer months, we can close the doors and not have to cover anything. So WSDOT has provided the funding of, I think it was approximately $310,000 for this project. So as you can see, we have work included in this as well. So outside of this proposal, we have to pave it. We have to prep it. We have to put the gravel base down. So we provided them an estimate on what our costs were going to be, plus what these proposals costs were going to be. And obviously they were kind of a guess what these proposals were going to be. We just kind of took off from what we did previous years. So there is the appropriate funding that's available. So I'm not concerned with that either way. The Greystone one is a little bit different versus the Structures Unlimited. So Structures Unlimited has concrete walls, precast walls, and then the hoop is attached to those precast walls. The gray stone one has piers or piles that are founded into the ground and it's connected to those. And the concrete panels sit inside of it. So that 53 by 64, it actually does get narrowed up a little bit. You might have 48 feet in width versus 53 feet.
But still, it's the same.
Still 1,000-ton capacity. I have no objections with either one. They both are appropriate products. I can't say one's better than the other.
So how far off the ground are the ones that are on the?
4 feet. Yep. So like I said, with the Greystone one, there's a little bit more cost associated to us to complete this. So we would have to dig the trench for them to pour the piles and the footings. Then we would have to backfill all that. And typically what we've done is we've paved the very outside perimeter. Obviously you get a lot of that water that comes off the tarp. And it doesn't seem to hold if you just put black dirt and seed. So we have paved it. The structure's unlimited one. By design, you have to backfill those concrete walls by 3 to 4 feet. The one thing that I'm not too keen on is if you push that wall, structure's attached to that wall. So there's compromises your building. Whereas the Greystone one, like I said, is founded on piles and foundations. So yes, you can still hit that and compromise that shed as well. So like I said, structure is a limited one right now. That 243, 340, that includes everything. The Greystone one, like I said, we would have a little bit added cost. I would anticipate probably about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of additional costs that we would have, but it would still be less than the structures on.
The thing I like about the Greystone, like, is also, yeah, if you push on that, wrecking that, or salt eating away at that concrete, you can always replace the inside, and it doesn't affect the outside, even if you're covering, you need to remove it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you can back into things and hit things. I'm sorry.
And a lot of those sheds too, you have to have airflow, and that has more airflow coming underneath it.
Well, and spillage, like if you push it up farther, it's not up against those metal brackets that are attached to that rusting hose.
Right.
I mean, it falls over the edge, it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, less to clean up, but.
All right.
So do both of them have a little opening, the inside about 10 feet up? Is there a little opening before it goes into the roof part of it? It seems like sometimes there's a little opening, you know, if you got too much salt in it, they're gonna go over and yet it's still inside the building.
So Greystone one, yes, there would be an opening before, there's a little gap between the concrete precast panels versus the roof. The structure is unlimited one, there is no gap or anything between it. Like I said, you'll have a 10-foot tall wall,
Okay,
and then they typically have a 10-foot galvanized piece that goes up.
so it's
And
all
then makes the arch.
pretty much.
Yes.
Okay.
We did before. That's what we've done before. So.
And like I said, we've built both
Make
of
a
these
motion.
before.
I'll make a motion, we go with Greystone for the Boyceville salt shed.
I'll second it.
That's the thing. And you haven't had any problem with the Colfax one. I mean, they liked it, so. That's the first one.
The I guess the only complaint for both of them from our staff is the open end. You get a lot more debris in it. You'll
Yeah.
get sand, you'll
So
get
this will be, you know.
tumbleweeds, whatever blows in there.
All right. Any other discussion?
Be put up yet this year then, or?
That's the tentative goal. Depending on if we have the ability with our staff. Might have burnout pretty soon.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of going with Greystone construction for the salt shed? Any opposed? Motion passes. Get to nothing for that. Next meeting, August 13th, same place, same time. Anything else? Otherwise, we're adjourned.